See it played, Death Ride Kursk, Leibstandarte. So I just want to clarify something about movement. When I moved a unit here, I believe when he moved up here to here to here, I think I treated movement from 0710 to 0810. I think I treated that as clear terrain, which is 1.5 for a tracked unit. I should have had them moving along the primary road there, which would have been 1. So I think it's 1 along the rail, 1.5 to cross clear, and then 1 to follow the primary road to that final hex there. Note number 2 here, I just want to point out something very, very important. This is something that I believe is allowed by the rules and not disallowed. I think it's not disallowed by any particular rule, and so I believe that it is the design intent. So let's just move the Soviet tank company here so that we don't have the obscuring town hex there. At this point, after I've moved up units separately, and I could have gone off and done a ton of other things, these stacks are marked half moved, which means that they've spent 1/2 or less of their movement allowance. I can come back, I believe, and for example, I could, now let's pretend that I didn't put them into Overwatch. For the purposes of this demonstration, let's just take this away. And let's say it looks just like this. I could then decide to do a combined fire attack. So let's say this unit, and let's just say the top unit. I mean, it could be all 3. Well, let's say all 3 of these platoons plus this platoon could do a combined fire attack on a Soviet target. It would be considered fire after move, so it would get a -2 penalty, but you could still do that. There is nothing that says that you have to do your fire after moving immediately after that movement. Again, that's what I believe, just because I don't see where that is disallowed. Again, the only hard and fast rule for timing that I see, that I remember, is that once a unit stack begins moving, you have to complete the movement of that unit stack before beginning the movement of another. But that's it. Other than that, I think that all these things can be done in different order. So even I have trouble remembering it all. I truly still have trouble remembering it all. So I believe this is what is allowed. Let's take so if I had a Soviet tank unit here, tank company. Oops. So again, I believe that, for example, this unit could get my information counter. So this unit could fire first, and let's just say, for example, they fire both their primary and the secondary at some target. So they're marked fire complete. Just because they're fire complete does not mean that they cannot do anything more. So later in the turn, after I've gone off, I've done a lot of other moving, I've fired some artillery, I've done an airstrike, moved with some more units, I could come back here, for example, and there was a German, where was he there? And a German target here, for example. As a matter of fact, even better, let's say that at some point, the German unit, say, became suppressed for whatever reason. So now they can't do opportunity fire. So later I come back to this unit. Even though he's fired complete, he can still move up to half of his movement allowance. I believe it's up to half round up. So with lots of movement factors, movement allowance, with a high movement allowance, what's one half? One half of 24, so 12. And so this unit could move. It could move one hex, a second hex. And in this case, this German unit cannot do opportunity fire because it's suppressed. But once the Soviet unit moves adjacent, I believe that the suppressed German unit can do defensive fire. The penalty, of course, is being suppressed to level 2. So specifically, it could do defensive fire at a 20% penalty. Armor units. Is that an armor unit? Oh, I'm sorry, that's not an armor unit. Never mind. That's 40%. That's 20% per suppression level. So it could do defensive fire at a 40% penalty. So again, all of these different options. So, oh, and by the way, once you're done, then you could do wherever it is, then you could do, just to finish this example, you could do moved full, for example, or half, whichever it is. And so then you know that it's done, which is interesting because it's still not really done. I mean, if the German unit moved adjacent, it could still do defensive fire. So, well, I guess these markers would be off. Okay, but anyways, lots of different options, and it's actually fun to just explore the many different options there are. So this is going to be interesting because I don't know how this is going to turn out. All right, so I'm going to give the Germans another company. So let's look at another company. This is Delta Company. And again, left to right, we have reading the identity on the left side. In small print, we got 1st Platoon, Delta Company, 1st Battalion. And then 2nd Platoon, Delta Company, 1st Battalion, and then 3rd Platoon on the far right. So 3 platoons make up Delta Company at this point. And I'm gonna, so again, they have, like the others, they have their dismounted side and their half-track mounted side. These are their back sides, mounted in half-tracks. So they're all gonna be start mounted up. So, and I guess to start off with, this is what I'm looking at, which I guess helps in explanation. So they have a tracked movement allowance of 22. I want them to move and then fire afterwards. So because of that, I'm thinking of them as having a movement allowance of 11. So I'm going to move up to 11 movement points so that I can then have the option of fire after movement. So they're going to move up here, pass through my Overwatch force, and try to get in on the Soviet left there. All right, I think I have the answer to my question, so we'll see how this works. So I'm going to start moving the unit stack. This is 1 along the rail, 2 along the rail. Going up a normal contour line is no issue. It's not a slope or a steep slope. This is steep slope right here. So steep slope, okay, regular slope. All right, so, and then we go to 3.5, and we go 1, 2, 4.5, and we're gonna go 5.5, or yeah, 5.5 along the road. All right, so that's gonna make it hard for my little memory device there, but 5.5. Okay, so So Soviets are definitely going to take opportunity fire while they're there. They're going to just fire at 1, which is actually the same type of attack as before. So it should be 18 to 6 or 3. And then the modifiers are going to be what? The -3 for opportunity fire. Oh, and -1 for firing up 1 elevation. Yeah, it's -4. Okay, I almost forgot. That was the whole point of putting everybody in Overwatch, right? Okay, this is important to point out. And I believe I have this right. So, oh no, wait, never mind. He doesn't have line of sight, so it doesn't matter. But anyways, if he had line of sight, I have 2 forces that are in Overwatch. But in response to a unit, so opportunity fire is only by 1 unit stack at a time, and Overwatch fire is actually the same. So if the Soviets declare this opportunity fire and the Germans want to execute Overwatch fire, they have to basically choose 1 unit stack to do the Overwatch fire. They couldn't combine this Overwatch fire. Okay, but he doesn't have line of sight anyway, so it doesn't matter. I need to figure out here whether he's actually looking over the town. I didn't think about that. I didn't notice that when looking from the other side of the board. From this side of the board, I'm thinking, oh yeah, to what extent does his height difference affect the town there? But anyways, this German unit is going to conduct Overwatch fire against the Soviet tank. So this is first before the opportunity fire. And the advantage of Overwatch fire is that there is no penalty. There's no penalty comparable to the opportunity fire, which is actually kind of interesting. Why wouldn't there be? Well, I guess I can see an argument either way. But I'm going to see if the Germans can get any suppression, and then the Soviet opportunity fire. I'm going to zoom in and walk through this one more time. Brilliant. It all worked out as planned. But, okay, so what's important here? Again, let's start with the fire. He is a normal dash fire. Again, the dash fire means the dash between the 5 and the 6, or the primary weapon factor and the defense factor. So that tells me what line on the firepower table to use. The target is a medium target because the 18 defense factor is against a orange dot. So it's 18 medium target. Now come back to the fire, the Overwatch fire. The secondary weapon factor is 2 out to a range of 2. Weapon factor of 2 out to a range of 2, which is within range. So the secondary weapon factor is times 0.5 or halved, so it's 1. So secondary weapon factor contributes 1. Then we go to the primary factor of 5. Is that 5? Yeah, 5 out to a range of 4. But it's 5 within short range, so it's actually primary weapon factor at short range, which is actually times 1.5. So it's so it's 5. So it's 7.5 plus 1, 8.5. And then okay, divided by 18, and we get we get 0.47, which means we're going to use the 0.33 column on the fire results table. Okay, then we go to so there's where we have our column. We rolled a 7. We have +1 for firing higher than the target per level, or 1 level higher than the target, and so we get an 8, which is just barely in S1. Barely in S1, but because the Soviets took suppression, their opportunity fire is canceled. So Overwatch fire worked exactly as planned. And by the way, there are just to again to keep everything clear, we do have Overwatch fire markers as well. So they are Overwatch fire complete because they use primary and secondary against that. So the idea is, for example, if the Germans are going to move one more, so the Germans are going to move one more. So the idea is, if there were another, let's say there were another Soviet unit over here that wanted to do opportunity fire against that same moving unit stack, this unit could, yeah, yeah, because it's the same mover. I think that if this one had used its primary, or let's say secondary, against this target and was marked, let's just say, now I'm getting myself, you know, I should have had these things prepped, but I didn't have them prepped. There we go. So I think it'd be marked Overwatch fire secondary, and then if there was another unit over here that wanted to do opportunity fire here, this unit could then do primary weapon Overwatch fire, and then it would be Overwatch fire complete. But as it is, it's now Overwatch fire complete. Well, I guess I could have my markers sorted as well. So that all worked as planned. Now what's going to happen in this case is when the unit moves here. Oh, now, by the way, this is very important. What do you know? I'm entering a new idea again. Another. So I don't think this unit can do defensive fire because it attempted opportunity fire against this this moving unit stack. I think that's the case. Interesting.